Now we're going to take a look at replacing our upper shaft. This is the upper shaft and how you would get it from the parts department. It comes with the counterweight, the collar, shield plate. It comes as one complete unit, everything except for the cap. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the counterweight. There's no need to replace this counterweight in the machine. It would just cause more work. Use your 3mm hex driver, line it up on the pin, and hit it out with the hammer. You could usually do this in a vise, or if you have a nice rubber mat, the pin would go into there nicely and not hurt the shaft or your table. Remove the pin, and if need be, use your hammer and gently hit around the counterweight to take it off of the upper shaft. And get rid of the counterweight. Now, the next item that we have to do is we need to loosen the black shield plate. Use your 2mm hex driver and just very gently just loosen it. Like before, when we were taking the upper shaft out, we have to be very careful of the sensor, which is at the top. If we lift that shield plate tight, it would crack into it. Next, use your 2.5 and loosen the two screws that are on the collar. And we can see that's nice and loose. Now we're going to take the machine and we're going to prep it and get it ready. We're going to take the upper shaft and we must slide it through the belt. It's very important. We'll move the shield plate out of the way and take the belt and just put it on the other side of the gear for now. Pick up the counterweight and hold on to it tight. Remember, we have to be careful of our zigzag motor area and our needle bar, so never pull on it, and start to insert the shaft into it. Make sure everything else is lined up nice so the bushings will fit into their spot on the casting. And we see that they're seated nicely. The collar on the left hand side is in the correct place. And now, to hold the shaft in temporarily, we're going to use our black plates with the big Phillips head screwdrivers. We're going to put these black plates lined up nicely, and we're going to start to screw the screws in. However, do not put them in all the way. We still need to have a little bit of play in the upper shaft as we start to put it back. Now we can see that we can turn the upper shaft nicely. However, we have to line up the left side of the upper shaft with the counterweight. There is a hole on that side, and there's a hole that we need to put the pin through the counterweight. Grab a 2mm hex driver or 1.5 hex driver and just go around the inside of the hole, making sure that it's lined up properly and that no part of the upper shaft is somewhat not turned up or lined with the hole through the counterweight. And once you have done that, continue to tighten down the black plates all the way. This way the upper shaft is now held into place. And we're going to take the collar and we're going to hold the counterweight and the collar and just gently push them together, and we're going to tighten the two 2.5 hex screws that are on that collar. Now we need to put the pin back into the counterweight. Got to check to make sure that the hole in the shaft is lined up with the hole in the counterweight, and we're going to use our pin and our 1.5 hex driver. Make sure that the tip is not too long because it would break into the bottom of the casting. Just slip the pin on and double check to make sure that the holes are lined up correctly. Very gently take your 1.5 in the pin, lay it on top of that hole. Try not to push or put too much pressure so it does not slip out of position. Take your hammer and pound it back in. Now we'll test it to see if it has play, left to right. If it has a little bit of play, let's go back to the collar. Loosen it. And once again, hold the counterweight and the collar together gently and tighten the two 2.5 hex screws. We'll test it, and once you've tested it, make sure to tighten the second screw. Now our upper shaft is in. However, the timing belt is still off, and our shield plate is still loose, which we'll take care of later.